Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual on Firstpost, where we get you the top 50 stories from around the world. I'm Alison Lagrange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin. Now, the world celebrated the arrival of 2025 with spectacular festivities. India brought in the new year with tradition and glamour. Devotees flocked to the decorated temples across cities to mark the start of 2025. In the US, people gathered at Times Square in New York to celebrate New Year's Eve. And in Paris, the Eiffel Tower was lit up amid the celebrations. Germany's capital, Berlin, transformed the Brandenburg Gate into a party hub. A Ukrainian drone destroyed a Russian helicopter for the first time on Tuesday. Another Russian helicopter was also damaged in the Black Sea. The attack took place near the Cape Tarkot on Crimea's west coast. And Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has vowed to end the Russian invasion by any means in 2025. Zelensky said that he believes that the US will stand with Ukraine to achieve peace. The US President Joe Biden recently announced about $6 billion in military and budget aid for Ukraine, but Kiev remains uncertain about the future financial support once Donald Trump returns to the White House. The U.S. military targeted the Houthis in Yemen's capital of Sana'a on Tuesday. The U.S. forces said that they hit targets that were used by the Iran-backed group to attack American warships and commercial vessels. The U.S. strikes also hit Houthi-controlled coastal areas in Yemen. Meanwhile, the Houthis say they fired 2 missiles at Israel on Tuesday. The Houthi spokesperson said that the first attack targeted an airport in Tel Aviv, and the second missile was fired at a power station south of Jerusalem. The Houthis also claimed to have hit a U.S. aircraft carrier. A knife attack on New Year's Eve injured 2 people at a supermarket in Germany's capital, Berlin. Some shoppers pounced on the attacker and restrained him until the police arrived and arrested him. The suspect was identified as a Syrian national with Swedish residency. German authorities reported potential signs of mental illness and have ruled out terrorist motives. A power grid collapse left nearly all of Puerto Rico without electricity on New Year's Eve. Luma Energy, the Caribbean island's main power distributor, said that about 1.3 million people suffered from power outages. The power company said that there was a failure in an electric line at a power plant, and that is what caused the mass blackout. And China's President Xi Jinping has issued a warning to Taiwan during his New Year message to China. Xi Jinping said that no one can stop China's reunification with Taiwan. He also said that Chinese people on both sides of the Taiwan Strait are one family, and the reunification of the motherland cannot be stopped. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te said that the island must boost defense spending and show its determination to protect itself. The self-ruled island constantly faces the threat of invasion from China. China claims Taiwan as a part of its territory. And China has refuted accusations by the U.S. over the hacking of the U.S. Treasury Department systems. Washington alleges that a Chinese state-sponsored hacker accessed employee workstations and some unclassified documents. Beijing called the allegations groundless and politically motivated. And South Korea's acting president, Choi Sang-mok, says that he will appoint 2 constitutional court justices on an urgent basis. Finance Minister Choi became South Korea's acting president last week. This was after the impeachment of the Prime Minister, Han Duck-soo. Now, Han was serving as acting president after the former President Yoon Suk-yeol was impeached, and this was after Yoon tried to impose martial law on the 3rd of December. Han was then impeached for refusing to appoint justices. And thousands of people rallied in Bangladesh's capital of Dhaka ahead of the new year. The demonstrators demanded the death penalty for the ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. The protesters hold Sheikh Hasina responsible for the hundreds of deaths that took place during the mass uprising against her government last year. The Awami League leader fled to India after her ouster in August of 2024. And clashes broke out between the Pakistani police and protesters in Karachi on New Year's Eve. The police attempted to disperse sit-ins staged by activists from a Shiite religious political party. The demonstration was in response to sectarian clashes in northern Pakistan, which have killed hundreds. The police used tear gas and batons on protesters. In response, the protesters hurled stones at the security officials. And in climate news, Milan has introduced a strict outdoor smoking ban, targeting public areas to curb pollution and protect public health. Smokers face hefty fines, with the city citing environmental and health concerns. While some residents criticized the measure as excessive, others supported it as a necessary step against pollution. Extreme weather forecasts forced the cancellation of Edinburgh's iconic Hogmanay celebrations. Now, this includes its famous street party and fireworks. Heavy winds also disrupted other UK festivities, with Blackpool cancelling its New Year's Eve display. Organisers lamented the decision but emphasised safety amid warnings of worsening weather across Scotland. Severe snowfall in Japan's northern regions disrupted travel plans during the New Year holiday season. Over 50 flights were cancelled and thousands of passengers were stranded. The Japan Meteorological Agency predicted continued snowfall, compounding travel chaos in a region already hit by extreme climate patterns earlier in the year. And heavy rains and floods inundated a field hospital in Khan Yunis, Gaza. This exacerbated hardships for the displaced residents. Medical staff struggled to provide care as residents battled to save belongings from damaged shelters. Aid remains insufficient, with international organizations accusing Israel of blocking routes of essential supplies. And data shows tropical cyclones have not just increased in frequency, but have also grown more intense over the last 4 decades. The rise in devastating Category 4 and 5 storms aligns with climate change predictions. The West Pacific experienced the worst impacts in 2024. Experts warn that poverty and vulnerability exacerbate cyclone-related disasters. And Taiwan has declared 2024 its hottest year since records began, hence reflecting a global trend of unprecedented heat fueled by climate change. The island raised its greenhouse gas reduction target, banking on renewable energy deployment, and extreme weather in Taiwan, including a rare late-year typhoon, underscored the devastating impacts of global warming. The European Union has delayed its key deforestation law. This gives companies an extra year to ensure their products aren't linked to deforestation. Former EU Environment Chief warned against delaying climate action, saying it could hinder progress. The EU deforestation law aims to ensure that certain products sold in the EU, such as cocoa and palm oil, are not linked to deforestation. And Russia has stopped natural gas supplies to European Union states via Ukraine after a transit deal between the two expired. The deal between Ukraine's gas transit operation of Naftogaz and Russia's Gazprom ended on the 1st of January 2025. Russia has generated massive revenue through this pipeline network and has used it to fund its war against Ukraine. Ukraine said that they won't let Russia profit from the situation anymore. And in other business news, U.S. plane maker Boeing is set to be the biggest loser in the Dow Jones Index for 2024. Boeing shares fell as much as 32% amid an ongoing crisis and production issues. Its shares started at $257.5 in 2024, but a major mid-air accident in January last year triggered investigations into the company's production standards. U.S. banks Citigroup and Bank of America are leaving the Net Zero Banking Alliance. This partnership aims to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. These banks join Wells Fargo and Goldman Sachs, which also left the alliance earlier this month. Financial firms have been criticized for their links to the fossil fuel industry, but have been working to adopt net zero standards. Japan's Nippon Steel has offered to give the U.S. government veto power over any cuts to U.S. Steel's production capacity in an effort to gain approval for its acquisition. The decision of the deal is in the hands of President Joe Biden, who must approve it for it to go through. Nippon Steel is making this veto offer in a bid to make the deal more acceptable. Ford Motors is recalling over 20,000 hybrid SUVs due to battery issues. The recall affects the Ford Escape and Lincoln Corsair models from 2020 to 2024. A defect in battery cells could cause short circuits or a complete battery failure. The recall was announced by the U.S. federal agency, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. And Mexico's tax authority, SAT, has introduced new tariffs to improve surveillance on goods from Asia. The measure could potentially affect online retailers like Shein and Temu. Goods entering Mexico via courier from countries without an international treaty will face a 19% duty. Mexico does not have an international treaty with China, where Shein and Temu are based. And Mexico's peso fell by nearly 23% in 2024. It ended at 20.82 pesos against the US dollar on the final day of trading. It's the biggest drop of the currency since 2008. The peso has steady gains early in the year, followed by a sharp decline after June's elections. This drop is the peso's worst performance against the US dollar since the 2008 global financial crisis. And cryptocurrency Bitcoin's price more than doubled in 2024, hitting $100,000. People are optimistic about less regulation, especially with Trump returning to the White House. Bitcoin's rise and Ether's jump helped the entire crypto market reach $3.5 trillion. Analysts believe that Bitcoin and other cryptos will keep growing in 2025. South Korean man Do Kwon has blamed for a $40 billion crypto crisis that had been sent to the U.S. for trial. Now, Kwon ran Terraform, which lost billions when its coins Terra USD and Luna collapsed in 2022. The U.S. accuses Kwon of causing the collapse and running a multi-billion-dollar fraud. Kwon fled to South Korea after an arrest warrant was issued against him. And in some sports news, Inter Miami and Argentina captain Lionel Messi has launched an initial public offering for his real estate investment trust in the Spanish market. The company owns 7 hotels, commercial real estate properties, and houses. Rest Tower is valued at $232 million, and the share price was $59.73 on opening day. And on other sports news now, we start with cricket, where Indian head coach Gautam Gambhir reportedly wanted veteran batter Cheshwar Pujara in the test squad for the Border Gavaskar Trophy. According to a report, Gambhir's suggestion was turned down by the selectors, and the report comes after India lost the 4th test of Australia's series. India trailed the match 1-2. And Australia are worried about Mitchell Starc's fitness ahead of the 5th test of the series against India. The left-arm pacer was struggling with a torso pain during the Boxing Day test. The hosts are awaiting an update on Starc's latest scans before taking a final call on his availability for the 5th test. In football news, West Ham captain Jarrod Bowen has suffered a thumb injury. The Englishman was injured during West Ham's clash with Liverpool on the 29th of December. The 28-year-old said that he had tried to play on after sustaining the injury. Bowen expressed optimism for his recovery and said he is looking forward to getting back on the field as soon as possible. And former Manchester United star Wayne Rooney stepped down as the manager of Plymouth Argyle yesterday. Rooney served as Plymouth's manager for just 7 months. This comes as Plymouth suffered a 2-0 defeat against Oxford on the 29th of December. Rooney leaves the club at the bottom of the championship table. The last 3 teams on the table will be relegated to a lower category. And Real Madrid held a public practice session on the New Year's Eve at a stadium in Spanish capital. Thousands of fans packed the Alfredo Di Stefano Stadium in Madrid yesterday. The traditional year-end event saw Real Madrid star Jude Bellingham give a bear hug to a young fan. The heartwarming moment had the kid tearing up with joy. And in tennis news, Paris Olympics bronze medalist Gabriela Dabrowski said that she played through 2024 season after she was diagnosed with breast cancer in April. Dabrowski's season was marked by milestones despite her cancer diagnosis. In July, the Canadian had made it to the women's doubles final at Wimbledon, along with New Zealand's Erin Routliffe. In Paris Olympics, the 32-year-old won mixed doubles bronze medal along with the Canadian teammate Felix Auger-Aliassime. And Novak Djokovic confirmed that Andy Murray will be in Melbourne to coach him during Australian Open. Djokovic added that Murray is skiing as a part of his New Year celebrations. The Serb said, and I quote, "I hope he does not get injured skiing before he comes to Melbourne." Responding to Djokovic's injury comment, Murray shared a video of himself skiing. The Englishman replied, he is taking on some huge slopes, but with no injuries. And in chess, Norway's Magnus Carlsen and Russia's Ian Nepomniachtchi have shared the World Blitz Championship title. After their 4th clash in the tournament, the score was leveled at 2-2. Both the players decided to share the title instead of going for a tiebreak. And Russian Grandmaster Daniil Dubov has lost a match at the World Rapid and Blitz Championship, and the reason was rather unique. He accidentally fell asleep and failed to show up on time. Dubov was scheduled to face Hannes Niemann, who accused the Russian of purposefully skipping the match out of cowardice. And India's Vaishali Rameshbabu has clinched a bronze medal in the women's category of the World Blitz Championship. The 23-year-old defeated a Chinese player 2.5 to 1.5 in the quarterfinals before losing the semis. Now, the Indian Grandmaster Viswanathan Anand congratulated Vaishali and hailed the 2024 as a significant year for chess in the country. And in entertainment news, Justin Baldoni has filed a $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times. He is accusing the publication of misrepresenting texts between him and Blake Lively to paint him in a sinister light. The controversy stems from a December expose alleging Baldoni entered Lively's makeup trailer uninvited, including when she was breastfeeding. Now, Baldoni's lawsuit claims that the New York Times cherry-picked and altered communications to craft a misleading narrative. And actor Kate Beckinsale has thrown her support behind Blake Lively, who is embroiled in a legal battle with It Ends With Us director Justin Baldoni. In a candid video, Beckinsale opened up about being assaulted and felt up on film sets early in her career. Sharing her experiences, Beckinsale revealed that she was insulted and called vile names when she voiced her concerns to colleagues. And Chris Pratt revealed in a book that he once put his foot down to stop mean-spirited jokes about Jim O'Heir's character, Jerry Gregich, in Parks and Recreation. Now, Pratt shared that while humor was a cornerstone of the show, some jokes crossed a line. He said, and I quote, "I'm not a fan of mean for the sake of being mean." And in a Netflix special, A Beautiful Mind, Michelle Buteau has taken aim at Dave Chappelle for his controversial jokes about the transgender community. Buteau has emphasized that comedy can tackle complex topics without disparaging marginalized groups. She urged comedians to put in the work to craft inclusive humor. Ariana Grande closed out 2024 with a heartfelt Instagram post celebrating a year of art and heart. Highlights included the release of her chart-topping album Eternal Sunshine and her role in the record-breaking Wicked adaptation. Sharing personal moments with family and friends, Grande thanked her fans for their unwavering support. And after facing body-shaming comments on social media, Sa has clapped back, explaining why she distanced herself from public platforms. In a now-deleted post, she shared how the pandemic affected her mental health and appearance. She wrote, and I quote, "You all say weird stuff like this and wonder why I don't feel comfortable anymore." And Britney Spears couldn't contain her pride after reuniting with her son Jaden James for Christmas. Sharing photos of the 18-year-old, Spears called him a genius whose music shakes the earth. The heartfelt post marked a rare glimpse into Spears' private life. The pop icon concluded her post by writing that her son Jaden James is hers forever. And Stephen Schwartz and Stephen Aramis, the masterminds behind Wicked's legendary Broadway score, opened up about adapting their work for film. Now, Schwartz, who has 3 Oscars to his name, described the transition as a war cry of diva power, while Aramis praised the collaborative effort. And former Dancing with the Stars pro Cheryl Burke has announced a hiatus for her podcast, Sex, Lies and Spray Tans. In an emotional Instagram video, Burke expressed gratitude to her listeners, saying, "You have been my rock." While the podcast covered juicy behind-the-scenes stories, Burke clarified that her intention was never to spread negativity. And American rock band Primus have kicked off their New Year's Eve celebration with a bang. They marked their first performance since longtime drummer Tim Alexander's departure. Now, Brian Mantia, who previously drummed for the band, returned to the kit for the Oakland show. The night featured hits spanning decades and left fans eager to see who will officially take Alexander's place. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.